Hello and welcome to the Fanzone Pod, episode 37, all to play for. Sorry for the delay. We've had a few little hiccups while Ben's in Prague. We've had Chris sorting us out. Thank you, Chris, for getting us live. If you are on and listening, can you just give us a little message?
Yes. Is there anybody out there? I completely knackered it all up. This StreamYard things, I tell you what, it's more complicated than you know.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether. Sorry, folks. I'm just going to check something.
I mean, if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, it's not the best view. It's not the best.
And we do apologise.
Yeah, apologies for the technical disruption. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
We have sign of life. All right, Liam. Just the four of us, I think.
I don't know if I'm still getting the old link.
Yeah, this is not the best start of podcasts, everybody. So
No.
we do apologise. We're having a few technical issues. Obviously, Ben's away, so us three oldies are taking over the technicalities of starting the podcast.
Colin, that link, what you just put in the other link and the other,
that should send people to this.
There's nothing there to click on.
If they are able to click on
it. There you go. Oh, Neil, tell me about it, mate. I wouldn't mind. We were all here at 7:10, raring to go. And all I did was click the wrong button. There we go. Yeah, tell me about it, Brandon.
Yeah, we're live, but we're not actually live in terms of.
This is a test.
Yeah. So if you can tell people that you know who listen to the podcast or whatever that we're on a separate live link on our YouTube channel, that'd be greatly appreciated.
Yeah. Spread the word. We're going rogue.
Sorry, folks. Can we just give everyone a couple of minutes to get over?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we sing? Should we do a quick song? Quick rendition of something? A little ditty or something, you know? Pull something out. Get the guitar out, something.
Including me trying to get on the new link as well.
7 people live now, so I think that's the message is getting across is the new live link.
The word is out.
I have it now. Yay. Right. Shall we go for it? Sorry, bring back Ben, Brendan. I agree.
Yeah.
We're just too old.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Anybody north of 30 with this type of stuff? Knackered.
It's like VAR, isn't it?
So, obviously, slight change in lineup. With Ben being away, we've got Chris on today, and we've got Colin as usual. So, welcome, fellas. We'll start, as always, with your thoughts on yesterday's match and just a little light on the atmosphere, because I thought it was I really enjoyed yesterday's atmosphere. I thought we did a decent job. Sometimes those really full stadiums don't work to our favour. But I'll hand it over to you first, Colin. What did you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, atmosphere, obviously, it was nice to for us to generate such an atmosphere in such a game. I'm trying to think back really to previous ones that I can remember of a similar ilk. I recall the Atletico Madrid game back in 2008 in the Europa League, which was of a similar type of atmosphere. And I'd say that was that helped us that night get a result. And I think it may very well have helped us stay in the tie yesterday as well. I think we give the lads an extra bit of a kick up the backside with that. So I think you can all tap one on the back for that, because it was really good. I think there's testament to that when we went 1-0 behind. Obviously, the reaction was obviously imminent, and I think that was because of, or a contributing factor was how good we were as a fan base. So yeah, excellent stuff. In terms of the game, I think we need to give credit where credit's due. I thought Barnsley were the better side. I thought they nullified us. I thought tactically, their manager got everything pretty much spot on. The press was on point. They put us under immense amount of pressure with our normal way of playing from the back, and caused us problems. I mean, I'm saying this, but I think that our defence was fantastic yesterday. I think our three centre halves were probably the three best players on the pitch. And obviously we did really result in them only really taking pot shots from distance, and obviously one of them ended up in the bottom corner, which is why they ended up scoring. I think that's probably the only way they were going to score. I think the long direct balls and crosses and stuff and deep balls and throw-ins and things weren't really causing us too many problems. But yeah, it was a hell of a strike, and credit where credit's due. But in terms of our attack, from in terms of how we attack, they were great, Barnsley, yesterday, and they really nullified us. However, we're still in the game. It's only half time. I fully expect next Friday to be a completely different game, and a little bit of me kind of thinks that Everton would have settled for a draw, actually, believe it or not, before the start of the game. And I think it was highlighted as well with the speed in which our ball boys, who are very well trained these days, believe it or not, were very slow in even giving the ball back to our own players, never mind the Barnsley lads. And the game kind of, was that type where I think Everton would have settled for a point, because he kind of knows what is expected of the home side in the second leg, and that can really benefit us. So I think it's several ways of looking at that game yesterday. I know I've waffled a little bit, but it could very well be it could very, very well be a good result, believe it or not. I think we shouldn't be looking at it as a negative.
I like that.
We should be looking at it as a positive.
I like that thinking.
Because when teams attack us, we can be dangerous, and there will be an expectation on Barnsley's fans to come at us and try and finish the game off.
They did play a very tactically similar game to the league game against us, which I actually thought they might have changed it up a little bit. But yeah, I think, like you say, Colin, it's that was them playing to their strengths, because they knew that they nullified us in the league playing like that. So hats off to them executing that game plan well. Frustrating for us, but hats off.
But again,
you've got to do what you got to do, haven't you?
You do, but again, they didn't win.
Exactly.
For the second time playing that way, they didn't win.
And we are not afraid of Oakwell after last time we went there.
Oh no, it'll be a nervy encounter, and for the people lucky enough to be going, it's not going to be really an enjoyable experience and an evening, but it could be at the 90th minute, because we're still well in this tie. I
agree. Chris, over to you.
I'll try and keep it succinct after Colin's deep dive. It's the other way around, isn't it? I thought, atmosphere-wise, it was incredible. You've always got that danger with it being a big ticket game, loads of day trippers, that you're going to get that mixed, weird atmosphere, and it wasn't. It was really good. Loved our effort at a tifo, the massive flag that we had. I thought that was a nice touch. It was
warm under it, wasn't it?
More like it warm. It was like a Dutch oven, but I didn't let one go. So I thought that was a really nice touch, and the atmosphere, as that was sort of let down as the teams came on, it built up really well. I thought it was crackling in there. Performance-wise, I think keep it simple. We dodged a bullet there. We could be quite easily going to Oakwell this Friday 1-2 goals down. If you look at their record when they go behind and when they go in front, it's very similar to ours. They're a very, very difficult team to claw back a deficit from. You just have a look at their league history this season. They very, very rarely, in fact, I don't think they've been beaten once they've gone in front. So to come back after 4 minutes, as we did, when we didn't really look like we were threatening in any way. We looked incisive, we looked eager, and like Cole said, the reaction to going a goal behind by the crowd was unreal. It was deafening. It was crackling in there, and that put us in a really good position. My only negative comment on it overall was it felt very much like it wasn't the same game, but it felt similar to the Accrington game in the sense that in that game, I thought that Everett was outcoached by Coleman, and I thought that Duff outcoached Everett yesterday, and I think we walked into their traps a little bit too easily. And he touched on it in his post-match when he was saying about how they left gaps behind and we were going too direct as opposed to playing our normal game.
He said,
just play to your strengths. Don't get suckered in like that.
I think his words were that the players took to him more too literal in terms of what was expected. Yeah, that was what he said.
Yeah, but not what I don't get. I get it, but what surprised me is that they didn't use their initiative to realise and understand that actually no, this isn't working. Especially when you consider the number of drinks breaks that there were, where the teams congregated with Everton and just said, well, hang on a minute, can we just check this with you? Because we think this, and actually, go again and go in a different way. But overall, I'm pleased about, I'm pleased that we can go into Friday with it all to play for. It's back to square one.
Yeah.
And to the next point, I would much rather be in our position than in Sheffield Wednesday's position. Yeah. So if we just want to kind of briefly, I think we probably all watched that match Friday night and were flabbergasted at that result. So do you want to just briefly touch on that match? I know it's a Bolton pod, but I think we're all in this mix together, and this hopefully could be one of our potential opponents if we get to the final. So what did you think about all of that, Chris? Sorry. Go on, Cole. Let Cole go. He's ready and roaring.
No, I just thought Peterborough were absolutely fantastic, to be honest. I thought it was Sheffield Wednesday's worst nightmare in terms of the players that they have at their the players that they have at their disposal. Sorry, against a defence that doesn't really like wingers, traditional wingers, direct wingers, and they just came up unstuck. But what Peterborough did do is he scored at the right time, and it just highlights the importance of that because it just knocked the stuff in at Sheffield Wednesday. What Sheffield Wednesday should have done, and I'm sure the gaffer on reflection probably would have thought this, they should have just shut up shop at 2-0 and gone, all right, we've lost 2-0, forget it. But they went pushing, trying to get into the game, and it's probably going to cost them the place. And I think it's probably going to cost him his job as well. I think if they don't get promoted, and I can't see him lasting as their gaffer. And I wouldn't like to think that Everett will get Sheffield Wednesday would come sniffing around Ian Everett. He's from Chesterfield, which isn't a million miles away from Sheffield, but that's another rumour for another podcast. I've just dreamt that up in my head. But I don't think that he would. I don't think that it would last the job if they don't get promoted. And I think it's that naivety has probably cost them their place in the playoff final.
I mean, the fact they're charging £700 for season tickets to pay Barry Bannon's wages next season, I don't think they're going to be able to afford to buy it ever, to be honest.
No, true. But, that's just a silly thing to say. But you can imagine, you can see where I'm coming from with that.
Yeah. Oh, God, the rumour mills will be out. They'll always be out. Chris, what did you think of the way that unfolded?
I thought, you can put it out into the chat. Simple question: who saw it coming? I don't think anybody could.
No.
However, if you unpick it a bit and look at it from that game at Hillsborough that Friday night, when something just seemed to change, probably from about 35 minutes in. I mean, you think about the games before that, the form we were in shocking form, and we managed to get a draw and probably should have won. And that was a tipping point for Wednesday. They addressed it a little bit, but it was never right again after that. And I think it was just really, really, it was a typical playoff game in the sense that the team who should have gone up by rights, 96 points and third, who went on a run that was equivalent to half the season unbeaten, playing against a team that's like, hey, we're stuck in through back door here, lads. What we're going to do? Let's have a go. And I thought they were excellent. They didn't do anything spectacular. They stuck to their game plan. They played as they have all season, like Cole said, using the flanks really effectively. But the passing was just so simple, crisp, clean, neat. And I have to say, overall, I thought Sheffield Wednesday, without stating the obvious, were absolutely dreadful.
Biz, weren't they?
Absolutely awful. I mean, they were a team that I was dreading, facing in potentially a final. I don't play like that, lads. Jesus, we'll have you all day long. Thanks.
For me as well, that's the difference. Like you just touched on then, Chris. Sheffield Wednesday haven't played under much pressure this season. Yeah. They've been up there all along, and Peterborough had the momentum of practically a pre-playoff game.
Yeah.
The weekend on Sunday, and then that they've just absolutely grabbed onto that and gone with it. And hats off to them. They've absolutely smashed it, and now they just need to go and sit at Hillsborough, don't they? Just need to sit back and
I don't think they'll sit back. I don't think they'll do it too much. I think they won't play like they did on Friday, but I don't think they'll go into too deep a rear guard. I think they'll just be a little bit deeper.
There's no way they're going to score 5 goals to go through. No chance.
And I think as well, I was speaking to some Wednesday fans a few weeks back, and there's a big consensus with Wednesday with the fans that whilst they rate Darren Moore really highly as a manager, and he's such a good manager, really nice guy, that he's too nice. And when the shit goes down, as it were, he can't respond and he can't react. He doesn't have that mettle to do it. So, unlucky.
Can I change the topic completely, please?
Yeah.
I'm just responding to Dan Sumner's message early on in the chat by saying they are nice flowers, and am I in the doghouse? They are nice flowers, and I'm not in the doghouse. There was a present off my mother-in-law, Anna's mother. So my little boy's birthday, so she likes to buy us presents on events. So that's why the nice flowers are there. Not that I should have to.
Did she buy us a win on Friday?
No. Completely off. We have a couple of things in Ange as well whether you want to touch upon these, but it's about yesterday. I think one of the lads in the chat have said about company watching. Who do we think was watching? I've got my opinions on that. I'll be honest with you.
I think Dan said Burnley have got 2 loanees at Barnsley, so that's probably you who was watching.
Right.
That's a very
I didn't even know he was there, to be fair, so I have no idea.
Thogden was all over him, wasn't he?
Fair play to him. Gets the likes, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think if he was watching any Bolton players, it'd probably more likely be Bradley than Trafford, because I think you can't go into a Premier League season with a 19-year-old goalkeeper, but you could go into a Premier League season with a 19-year-old right back who's got experience and could play along experienced players as well. But like you say, he's probably watching Barnsley players.
Speculation, I suppose, isn't it? It's good.
All we can do is speculate because we do not know.
Indeed.
So Chris has done some digging for us, haven't you, for tonight's pod, Chris? And we all know how notoriously difficult it is to get out of League One. So he's had a look at some figures on recent promotions and how long it's taken them to get out of the league Over to you, Mr. Dawson.
Thank you, Angela. What a marvellous introduction. And you know what, right? I tell you where it comes from. It comes from a couple of places, this. I hear it all the time that people say about, we should be going up. We should be going up. Right, okay, fair enough. Yeah, all right. Yeah, all for that. Put something behind it.
Meat on the bones.
Put some credibility behind it and tell me why. And it's difficult because we're using the responses. We're a big club. We've got the infrastructure. There's loads of. Sorry, you have to excuse my son. He's in the room next door, so he's getting me in stereo. But I think what it's worth doing first of all, and I'm going to go full happy clapper again, is you need to apply some perspective, because the perspective is key to the data that sits behind it. So yesterday we're in car coming home, and Sam says to me, "Do you realise that it's 4 years to the day since we went into administration?" I didn't see. I'm not on Twitter at the minute because it's madness.
Give you an headache. Yeah.
Sometimes you just need a break.
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't realise this. So just touching on.
Sorry, Chris.
Brilliant.
For people who are on Twitter who are watching this or listening to it later on, that is exactly what you should do with Twitter. Instead of sometimes tweeting shite, take a step back and think, you know what, this is doing my head in this.
Well,
just take a break from it. Instead of just coming up with absolute dribble.
This is what sits behind the comment.
Yeah, well, there you are.
All right.
Sorry,
so I am a nerd, but there you go. Anyway,
we love it. We love a data nerd.
So are you ready? So the 3rd of May, 2019, our game against Brentford was canned because of strike action by the players. So they down tools, Josh McGuinness walking off the coach, all that, you remember it. And the game was lost 1-0 because that's how it works.
Yeah.
On the 13th of May, 10 days later, the Davies family appointed Phil Draw to come in to oversee the administration of the club. That was confirmed, as I say, on the 13th of May, along with a 12-point deduction for the following season. Keith Hill, can't turn out a team, Hummel kits, no sponsor, etc.
Yeah.
So, data wankers. Charming. So, if you look at, you hear phrases like bouncing back, second season syndrome, all that kind of stuff. So if you look at from 2009 to 2019, so I've taken a pretty big sample of data, 10 years of data.
Yeah.
And that's from the Premier League down to the National League. Back-to-back promotions, 5.7%. Less than 6% back-to-back promotions. Only 20% of teams are promoted at the first time around after being relegated the previous season.
From any division?
This is from Premier League to National League. So I'm going broad to start and I'll drill in. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So 20% of teams are promoted first time around after being relegated. The average time that it takes to get back up, and that's get back up, that you have to take that into account, not get up.
Just the division above, yeah?
Yeah, so get back where you started is 2.5 seasons. One of the only clubs to experience back-to-back relegations in that time was Sunderland.
Oh, yeah, from the Championship to League One.
Yeah, so, but for a bit of perspective, so that's fine, that's general. All right, League One. So 5 seasons, not including this season. So the last 5 seasons, not including this, because you can't, because it's not finished yet. There have been 12 teams promoted in those 5 seasons. Okay, and you see some trends. Wigan and Rotherham are blatantly yo-yo clubs. They appear time and time again. So out of those 5 seasons, 12 teams have been promoted. Obviously, there's 15 positions there, but only 12 have been promoted. So if you look at it from Wigan, Rotherham, Sunderland, Hull, Peterborough, Blackpool, Coventry, Wickham, Luton, Barnsley, Charlton and Blackburn, which are all the teams that have done it, it's taken them 36 seasons, which is an average of exactly 3 seasons to get promoted out of League One. It's a bit rough, and it's a bit. There's some there's a lot of factors that you can't take into account, like going into administration, going down into League Two. So Blackpool, Coventry, Wickham and Luton have all spent time in League Two as well. But if you take it as a rough average, it takes 3 seasons to get out of League One. So when people say that we should be getting out of this league, bearing in mind it's our second season, we finished 9th and then we finish in playoffs.
Yeah.
To me, that tells me that we're on track. David's made a good point. Big teams in League One usually spend 4 or 5 seasons. You'll see it. Peterborough 6 seasons, Blackpool 4 seasons, Wickham 4 seasons, Charlton 5 seasons, all in League One.
It's tough league.
Do you think that the reason why our fan base is a little bit more expectant of us getting promoted is because we didn't actually see us with our own eyes live in League Two? So it's kind of
maybe,
It'll skew it. It's going to skew it because it's a freak season, isn't it? It's a freak season because you can't go. It's a freak season because you pretty much bottom in February. And
it
then
didn't feel like we were in League Two, though, did it? If that makes sense.
Say again.
It didn't feel like we were in League Two.
No. Well, you've got no perception, have you? You've got no.
Exactly.
There's so many things that cloud it, which happened, which I mentioned right at the start of all that. Brentford getting canned, going into administration.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not saying for 1 minute that we're lucky to have a club, but anybody who's under any illusions that we should be going up on the basis that we are a big club, with those factors considered, I'd be interested in a conversation to understand the counter argument, because I think you'd struggle without sounding arrogant. I think you'd struggle to say, right, well, on the flip side, look at it this way. And if anybody's got any comments on that, I'd love to hear them. But you're going to have to put something behind it to make it credible, because I think it's really difficult otherwise.
And I think you explaining it like that, Chris, is really good work. Thank you for doing that, because the stats don't lie, do they?
The facts.
That's facts.
No, unfortunately. And you know what? I'd love us go up. I would love it.
So we're breaking the norm, then, aren't we? If we go up this,
we'd be totally bucking the trend, and that's without taking into account the fact that we nearly died.
Yeah,
which is a key contributing factor in it, really.
Well, you think about next season, regardless of our league position or which league we're in. More to the point, you've got a new long-term season stadium sponsorship. We've got a new long-term high street retailer front of shirt sponsorship. We've got 3 new kits, which are coming in at 7,000 items more than last season. Its initial order. Massive revenue increases year on year.
Season tickets have gone up again.
Season tickets up again. Long-term contract for the manager. In terms
there's a lot of clubs who want our position across the whole EFL, wouldn't they?
Oh yeah.
A lot of clubs are swap, wouldn't they, with us now?
Snatch your hand off. It's frightening. So there you go. I hope that made sense. I'm sorry it was a bit boring, because
it wasn't boring at all.
No,
but I'm genuinely bored of hearing it, because it gets right on my tits.
To summarise.
Yeah, in short. Could have said all that in that, gonna.
On the back of that, we're looking ahead now to Friday, fellas. How do we feel about Friday, first of all? I know I had a conversation with Chris earlier, and you're freaking me out. The zen is ridiculous. I don't understand what's going on with you.
Weird.
Chris is the most nervous Bolton fan in the world, and you're weirdly not nervous, and it's freaking me out a bit.
What's changed since yesterday, Chris? Because you were a little bit nervous yesterday.
I'm always nervous about a game. I think it's different in terms of actually going to the game and then thinking about it. I feel a bit sick about it and stuff. But when I think about it properly and sit myself down and take a good long hard look at myself and all that shite, and it's based on what I've just said, as in what next season brings, regardless. And yeah, we should aspire to success. We should want to go up. Of course we should. And I'm not saying, we shouldn't go up. We're not ready. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that the position that we're in as a club and everything that's going on is just, it just typifies progress. So if it happens this season, brilliant. If it doesn't, it's going to happen next season or the season after.
Yeah.
So,
so it's relaxing you then. It's relaxing you mentally.
It is. I think I put it in my head, and we talked about manifesting stuff the other day. And if I manifest us losing and walking out of that ground on Friday, how would I feel? I'd be gutted. Of course I would. I'd be absolutely gutted. But not as gutted as I have with previous experiences of losing big games. Because I think when you reflect and you finish 5th, you win a Papa John's, all those things I mentioned about that are in place, ready for next season, it's an amazing achievement. It really is.
So hypothetically then, saying, based on the conversation we had about before about Sheffield Wednesday, we've got 2 football clubs playing 2 fixtures on Friday and is it Thursday or Saturday?
Thursday night they play, yeah.
So obviously they're going to be walking at Hillsborough, say they get beat, thinking one thing, like they have to get promoted.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Thank you.
We're walking at Hillsborough, if we don't get there,
it's not the end of the world. Yeah.
And it's not being people might see it as being a happy clapper. It's not. It's being a realist. And Jesus Christ, I am, as you know, I'm one of the biggest pessimists there is. But you've just got to take stock of what is happening now at this club. It is unreal. It's massive.
It will be regardless of the outcome on Friday night, I think it'll be a really emotional game. Yeah. It'll get us one way or the other. And I'm so proud of the season we've had. I really am. I think those boys have worked so hard for each other. Colin, are you nervous? How are you feeling?
Well, I wasn't nervous before yesterday. I just think it's going to be a completely different game.
Yeah.
Because I just feel if I was a Barnsley fan going into Friday, I'm trying to put myself in their shoes. What would I expect? I probably expect we've just been away. We've just got we've just got a result. And I'd expect us, if I were a Barnsley fan, to go and put it to Bolton and try and finish the tie. Because you're the home side, under the lights, yada, yada, yada. And I think there's an expectation within the fan base, but also an expectation within the home team's players to be more expansive and more open, whether they like it or not, whether they want to do it or not. They're not going to sit in a low block at home. Do you know what I mean?
No.
Yeah.
Not at 1-1 either.
It's not going to happen. At 1-1, exactly. If they were 1-0, 2-0 up, might be different because they're very, very, very well managed and they're very well coached and they're very well organised team. So they could, if they were 1 or 2-0 up, different ball game because they could sit in and nullify the tie, but they're not. That goal 4 minutes after them scoring was a proper kick in the teeth for them.
Yeah, it was huge
because they don't really have a choice now. They have to come out at us, and when teams do that, we pick them apart.
Yeah.
So it's going to be put it this way: if I wasn't a Bolton or Barnsley fan, I'd be watching this on Friday because it'll be a very interesting tie. And it'll be a completely different game to yesterday. To answer your question, I'm excited for it again because there's no reason not to be.
No, I don't think
there's nothing to lose, is there?
No, there's not.
I'm looking at it from the potential where the game's going to play out, but obviously then taking into consideration what Chris has just said, it even makes me even more relaxed than I already were. So I'm putting them 2 things together, and now I'm coming up with that.
Yeah, I agree.
So for me, I think the midfield struggled a little bit yesterday.
Yeah, needs to be improvement.
Yeah. So when it comes to Friday's team sheet, what do you think he's going to change?
I could see Josh Sheehan getting dropped for MJ.
I
agreed. Yeah,
no slight on him as a player.
no, not at all.
No, it's just not the game's just not suited.
It's
to
horses for courses, isn't it? We now know what we need to change to make it different.
But I think with MJ playing, sorry Chris, I think with MJ playing, it releases Dempsey more.
Yeah,
in terms of his ability to change the offensive part of our game, or. Because he's taking through the nails thinking about the game now.
He's not nervous, he's excited.
I'm excited. A way of showing excitement. Sorry, Chris, I'll let you carry on. Sorry.
No, it's very similar. I think you're right. I think it was touched on the radio yesterday by of all people, Keith Hill, who got it absolutely spot on.
Whoa!
He knows his onions.
He's knowing his onions.
Yeah.
Keith Hill's got it absolutely spot on.
Yeah, Dixon for Traff, as Sam said. No, it wasn't that. It was bringing Morley closer to the back four to allow him to orchestrate it, because I thought that most of our output from the back yesterday came from Santos, and you get more visualization from Morley of what's in front of him. Less so from Santos, especially after a good few games out. I think Sheehan should be dropped. I think somebody's just mentioned it, that Kachunga should be the first there. I think that'd be too tempting to not play Kachunga based on his performance yesterday. I think he's still the right man for the job.
Yeah.
And I think the adjustment needs to come from behind him. And I would bring Williams in and drop Sheehan and rotate between Williams and Kieran Lee at about 60 minutes, perhaps.
Okay.
But that I just think that option up top where you're able to take off Kachunga and Dion and bring on Lundalu and Adebayo on, whilst I get that Lundalu missed a bit of a sitter yesterday. You got a lot of pelters I heard, which I thought was wrong. I just think that the difference in approach and the difference in style is so dramatically different that it confuses the crap out of opposition teams, because they have to completely readjust.
I think as well, you've gone from an hour, say, of having Catcher and Dion nibbling at your ankles, chasing every ball down, getting in behind, causing you all sorts of headaches, and then you get two big lads on, two quick, strong, big lads coming on who are going to give you that, but more in a sense that they're more physical.
Yeah.
And that's the last thing you want going into the last half an hour.
Yeah.
I don't care who you are. Them lads coming on, them lads in the defence yesterday, when Lundalu come on a bit, they thought, fuck, God's sake. Why am I doing this now?
It's a completely different proposition to Dion and Catch. Davies made an interesting point there, that he's been watching some Barnsley podcasts and they think they're as good as their. Fair play.
But which is how you should, I think, when you're the home support, you should absolutely be thinking that.
You should.
It should be.
What I just said.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what their expectation will be.
Yeah.
And he can drill it into them players as much as he wants this week, there, Gaffer, about how you need to be mindful of Bolton, yada, yada, yada. We need to play this way to nullify this threat, etc. They're naturally going to be more on the front foot because there's going to be 20,000 Yorkshiremen.
Will there be that many?
Behind them, whatever. Backing them to...
I'm not being...
Well, 15,000, whatever it is.
Yeah,
they expecting them to push on.
Yeah.
But with that comes that pressure, and can they handle that pressure of being the favourite team? Or it's like we say, it's Papa John's again. We just got to treat it like Papa John's again.
Tournament football, isn't it? Like I did him.
For them to be as dominant, and I do feel for the majority of the game yesterday they were dominant. For them to be as dominant as that and not come away with a victory isn't a good thing.
No. Agreed.
And you'll know that. The gaffer will know that. He'll be going back on that coach tomorrow thinking, missed a trick here.
Yeah, they've dropped one. Big time.
Yeah.
Because they should have won. Really.
Yeah, they should. We dodged a bullet yesterday in that respect. In terms of the result, we dodged a bullet big time, and they've
So
missed an opportunity.
let them think that they're through. Please.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go with it. We'll roll with it. So, last thing probably to cover is our Fanzone Man of the Match. I have mine. Yeah, Martin Trafford. He kept us. A couple of massive saves.
Huge.
I rewatched the highlights this morning. I was like, oh God, that boy.
Peter Schmeichel-esque.
Oh, yeah.
Phenomenal.
He was outstanding.
Yeah.
Are we all in agreement?
For those who are too young listening to this, Peter Schmeichel's Kasper Schmeichel's dad. He played in 90s.
Notorious for making himself big.
Massive.
On the football pitch, I hasten to add.
Yeah. Don't know anything about anything else.
No. That's
Could
how
it possibly
Kasper was born. Sorry, go on, Ange.
No, I'm just going to say, I think that pretty much wraps up tonight's pod. I'll try and remember all the stuff Ben does at the end. So, obviously, get yourself over to, if you fancy your pre-Barnsley away tipple, over to the Bolton Gin Company page, put in the code FANZONE10 and get yourself 10% off over there. Like and subscribe something or other.
Yeah.
That's something that he says.
The likes really help everybody as well. I'll do this bit because what it does is it brings us more into the viewpoints of other Bolton fans who don't necessarily watch the podcast, because it becomes prominent on their feeds when they search for Bolton Wanderers as a word or a search. So obviously it boosts our algorithm. So if you can like it and put on the notification as well. So obviously when we go live, you'll get reminded of it as well. That'd be really appreciated.
There we go. Algorithms. That's what it's about. So yeah, once again, thank you for everybody that's joined us. Some new faces in the chat and also some very familiar ones. It's really appreciated. It helps the pod what it is. We wouldn't be us without you. So thank you.
Oh,
can we just
song?
Oh yeah, can we just explain what? Can we explain what happened at the beginning for the people that joined us late?
Yeah, sorry about that fucking car crash.
What the hell happened? Have we missed anything or what?
It's a miracle that we actually got it on.
I don't even know how you've done it, Chris.
I don't. Not a clue.
Do you want to explain, Chris, what happens for everybody?
Yeah, I deleted it. I deleted the pod. So there's a button on StreamYard that says go live. If you hit it, there's no going back. You've gone live, regardless of how quickly you end the broadcast. That podcast has gone, disappeared, and then you have to create a new one. Obviously, our administrator is Ben, who's in Prague, answering his phone.
Drinking cheap Star for a man. How'd you say that one?
Brilliant.
So it'd be quite interesting. It'd be quite interesting listening and viewing, going back to the start of this podcast.
I'm not really.
Watching back how we actually started it, because it was very what's the word? Amateur.
Yes.
It was a mess.
We got that.
But you didn't miss anything. If you joined it live, you didn't miss anything. So
you missed me going.
Yeah, even more so than normal. So.
Rude.
Harsh.
Spicy that.
Yeah, good enough.
So thank you everybody for joining us. We got there in the end.
Yes. And for those lucky enough to be going to Barnsley, enjoy it and get behind them. Make more noise. I'm proud. Make more noise than Barnsley's fans did yesterday, which
won't be hard.
No. Right. Enjoy your week.
Thanks all. Take care.
On to Friday.
Come on, you whites.
Come on.